What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I haven't done anything on the Lifan KP Mini in a while, so I'm going to do a tag delete on this thing. It's actually pretty easy to do. Alright, so one of the first things that's going to be a problem with doing this, if you don't already know, is you have to relocate your seat lock or release. And most people relocate it up to the side, or they just hide it up underneath. Alright, so we got a few bolts we got to take out. I already took the license plate off just to have it out of the way. But you got the nuts for the turn signals, they're 15 millimeters. You'll need a wrench to get those off. Then you have to take the bracket for the seat mounts, or the seat handle, I guess you call it. This has to come off. It's 4 10 millimeters on the top. That's pretty easy, straightforward. Get that off and out of our way. And then you've got 8 millimeter on the top for the plastic trim piece for the taillight. Get that off. Apologize for the bugs in the background. Then you got 2 10 millimeters on either side on the back for this rear taillight piece. Alrighty. And then you have 4 Phillips head screws that go in underneath. You got 2 on each side. And then it should slide off. So that's how you get the taillight cover off. Pretty simple enough. As you can see, these are the 4 screws, and then you have the bolts that go on the side here and here, and then you have the one on the top. So once you get that off, it allows you to pretty much get the screws that mount all this plastic trim on. So then you'll have 8 millimeters on either side. And then underneath you have 4 8 millimeters. And then it should slide out of there. I dropped one. Alright. So now that you got that out, you got to get all your wiring out of there. This part, it's just got 4 Phillips head screws on the underside to get the cover off. This just kind of shields all the wires from, water coming up underneath. So, and then we'll have to take our turn signals off. Oh, lose all the screws. Not that it matters because I'm not putting this back on, but so then this releases it. Now you can see all the metal bracketry that runs through it. We got to get the brackets off because we need to be able to get all the wiring out, and we want to be able to pull the mechanism off for the trunk release. So we'll just go ahead and get that off now. Just pulls that out, and then we can pull that through the hole. So that's out. Now we got to get all our wires off. We got 1 Phillips screw in the middle here. Falls out. Then everything else is off on the front, so then you just got 2 bolts on the bottom here, which are 2 8 millimeters that are right behind the license plate. That will release the metal bracket that holds everything together, support for the plastics. And now we can remove our tag light, which is going to be 2 more 8 millimeters. There's 2 plugs that go up into a harness up underneath the seat. You have to get those out to get your tag light if you want to continue to run a tag light. Alright. Now that that's out of the way, we can pull our harness up through. So you can kind of see how the color coordination of these lights are. It's pretty simple. You can't really mess up the plug. Green goes to green, orange goes to orange. Although you don't want to pull the pins out of their connectors. It's also a blue that has to go to a blue. So we got that out of our way now. So now we can pull our turn signals off this back piece. It's one, which is our right side. Make sure to keep them together. You don't want to mix them up because the wires are color coded. Now for the tag, or for the lock release on the back, there's just a little pull tab. You can use like a pry bar or something to pry it off. It's this little clip. Once you pull that clip off, the bracket will then come off, and so will the lock mechanism. So we got that out. I haven't really figured out where I'm going to put it yet, so we'll get to that when we get to that, I guess. But now that that's off, we can go ahead and get our tag mounted back up, or our taillight mounted back up, sorry. Another thing you can do if you don't want the lock release, you can just zip tie this up and keep this pull cable if you don't want to put the key on, which is probably what I'll do because I don't really care to have this. I don't store anything under the seat anyway, so I mean the only thing it'll do is keep people from stealing my seat or my battery, but like, who's stealing anything off motorcycles? You have to be a real strange person to do something like that. Not that they aren't out there, but... Alright, so our tag light's mounted back up. Now we can get our cover back on, because our cover is going to show us where we want to put our turn signals at. Try and do this without scratching the heck out of everything. Oh, that's what I did. Oops. I put the screw in and the plastic piece is supposed to go on first. Dork move. I was like, man, why is this not fitting together? Well, that's because I'm a dork. And the holes you have to drill for these are not very big. You can see the diameter is like maybe a 3/8. But we're gonna mount these up in here like this. So we need to be able to drill into this plastic and to get to the wires on the back side. I grabbed a chair, my knees were starting to hurt. But we'll figure out where we want to put this. I grabbed a 11/32 because it just barely fits into the nut that holds the turn signal on. And you could kind of be a little more methodical than me about this, but I don't really care. It's kind of a piece of crap, but... And you're just drilling in the plastic. So you don't need to go super crazy pushing hard because it'll cut right through it even with a dull drill bit or drill bit. Looks kind of weird because it's pointed down, but that's alright. The other option is you can mount them down here on the bottom if you want, where the pegs are, or on the fender, but then you have to risk the wiring being not long enough and may have to extend it. The other option would be to put LEDs in the taillight if you wanted to. Don't be like me and go too far back, because now it's up against my taillight. I gotta adjust this already. There we go. Not so bad. Get our screw back in on the side, make sure everything's good. Alright, cool. We got one mounted up. So it looks kind of weird, but in my opinion it's better than that big goofy tag holder that hangs off the bottom. This side you got to be a little more careful because there is a bunch of wires behind here. So make sure you don't hit any of the wires or that cable release. I like to waller out the hole a little bit. I have to go get a light here in a second. It's dark. We'll thread this up in there. So the drill bit size I used, if you didn't hear me before, Does 11/30 seconds. It's just perfect enough that you can actually thread the tail light up, or the turn signal up in there. So how bad does that look? Not too bad. It's kind of weird, but this whole bike's kind of weird, isn't it? So I got that on. Get this one tightened up. You do want to make sure these bolts are pretty tight, man, because if you don't, these motorcycles vibrate pretty bad. So you want to make sure you have the nuts tightened up pretty good, because they'll rattle loose for sure. Look just as goofy as they were before. You can build some mounts if you want, mount them up underneath so they're not so sticking out, which is something I may do in the future. Leave a comment down below if you want me to build a bracket that mounts these up underneath, hidden away, out of the way. Until then, I probably won't do anything like that unless someone requests it. Which you guys are more than welcome to request me. Ask me to do anything on this thing. I don't care. It's fun. It's just a little toy. I literally only ride it around the college campus and the Charlotte area, essentially. It's just a fun little bike to ride. Alright, so now that we got that done, we can plug back in all our taillights. I'm going to go get a light so we can see what we're doing here. That should brighten everything up a little bit. Cool. Perfect. So, now we got to pull our harness back down and see which wires go into where, plug them back into the right spots. Obviously blue goes to blue, green goes to green, orange goes to orange, and then green back to green. So all you got left is one green and one brown, and that's what runs your tag light. This cable now, what I'm going to do is run this up along the inside of my frame rail. So we're going to run it up inside the frame rail and have it come out secretly right up under the front here, so that only I know where it releases, and I don't have the guards, so now I have a little release for it right here. Super easy to get to, super hidden, no worries about that. Alright, let's get our tag light figured out, how we're going to mount our tag light and our tag. So the original mounts to the bracket here, there was a metal tag bracket that came with the bike, but I don't know what I did with it. I think I took it off and set it somewhere. So now we got to do a little bracket that comes down. So I completely forgot, I bought these little L brackets. I already mounted them to the tag so I know the spacing, but this is the L bracket, 63 millimeter by 16 millimeter and 2.5 inch by 5/8. These are National Hardware. You can get these at pretty much Lowe's or Home Depot. This will be in the mailbox section. You can paint them black if you want so they don't rust, which I may go back into afterwards and do all that, but I need to figure out getting them mounted first. I'll put it right there, and then I'll bend it up so I don't interfere with my tire, and then I can mount my tag light to these original holes that are already here that look like that's where it's pretty much designed to go, which is crazy. I may have to do a little bit of an L bracket for that so that works, so it actually light it up, but if it's facing inward it should still light it up. We'll test it out and see before I make a confirmed finish on that. So I can use these two screw holders and the original Phillips screws that hold it on, and that will hold my tag up in place. I just got to drill some pre-holes. I'm just going to eyeball this, and what I'm trying to do, I know it's hard to see, but there's an edge on here where I can actually slide these pieces onto the plastic, and I'm trying to get this tag as close, these holes, as close to that edge as possible so that this still works and slides on and will hold these screws in. So that's my goal right now. Alright, easy enough. We'll put our screw piece. Wait, that's a different one. Why is that different? Well, that's not cool. Why are these two different clips? So my two spares that I would have on the edge here that originally went into this, right here and right here, for some reason they're two different styles, and that's not going to work for what we want to use it on. So I'm going to have to go find another one. Alright, so I found a matching pair that should work. Hopefully your bike isn't like mine with mismatched parts on it. I mean, it is Chinese, what can you expect? You can't expect it to be perfect, so. Alright, so I need this one a little bit closer to the edge. but not too bad. So. Alrighty. It helps if you open these up a little bit if you're going on thicker plastic. Just makes it go on a little easier. Yep. Ready? Go screw in. Now tight. Alrighty. That one's pretty tight too. So now we got our tag pretty firmly on there. You could do 2 more holes if you wanted to. I don't really care about it. It'd be so ideal if this bracket was just the right sizing for this. I wonder if one of these screws, if I can unthread one of these. Alright, so I couldn't get it to thread out, so literally just cut one of the studs off of that. So here's one stud, the other one I cut off. I only need 1 screw to hold this thing on. But there's like a slot in the upper part of this tag holder, or frame holder, whatever you want to call it. And this wiring harness fits through it perfect, and it'll fit through it with 1 screw. So I got this little piece of aluminum. I'm going to put it on there and bolt that down, and that will hold this in place. Alright, seat still latches. Let's see if it releases. Yep, still good. Perfect. Let's test out our lights now. Brakes work. Is the tag light working? Oh, may need to be running for that. I don't know. Huh. Our tag light's not working. Well, that's not good. So after pulling my tag light assembly, my tag light is completely dead. So I need a new tag light. Yippee. We got a new tag light bulb in there. So let's get this all wired back through here. I'm sorry about dragging this video out. I'm sure people just wanted to know how to do the mod and then see the finished product. And nothing's ever easy on this channel. We make it as difficult as we possibly can. See if we get a bulb action. Hey, we got a light. So it was just burnout, thankfully. That's nice to know. Also really, really freaking annoying. There we go. We got light on the tag. Let me turn off the big light so you can see it. Barely. Barely on the tag, but technically it's a tag light by law. So I do want to bend this tag up a little bit. Yeah. Perfect. Got brakes. Got a left turn signal. Got a right turn signal. Alright, so that's going to be the end of the video, guys. That's the KP Mini. That's our tag light delete. Our tag license plate bracket delete. Came out pretty good in my opinion. I bent the plate up so it's a little bit away from the tire. Everything seems to fit pretty good. It's all pretty secure. I like the way it looks. I'm happy with it. Make sure if you haven't seen the video on the Yoshimura muffler install, make sure to go watch that. Definitely gives the bike a pretty good sound in my opinion. Also, I have a video on the intake install and the catch can install. So make sure to go check those videos out. Appreciate you guys watching. Subscribe and like for more videos.